Hey everyone, and welcome to Scrolls. So I'm going to be taking a look at Scrolls, which I started playing yesterday, because it seems pretty neat, and I figured I might as well record some of the early games that I play and stuff like that. So to start, I guess let's just go over what this game is. So the game is a card/board game, where you build a deck of cards and you play those cards onto a board. The board is 5 by 6. Each player has one half, and you can sort of build little lanes using your cards and take out the enemy. I'll show you guys when we actually get into a game. In order to build these cards, you need to buy them from the store, but you can buy them with gold that you earn just by playing. However, you do need to pay an initial fee in order to join the game, so that's all the money that I've spent on it, was like the 20 bucks that it cost to buy the game. This game is by Mojang, who you may recognize from a little game called Minecraft, which just so happens to be the second most popular game in the world. So, you know, there's a certain amount of developer expertise and money behind this game, so I'm looking forward to it. It is in pretty early beta. I don't know exactly when it came out, but not a ton has happened to it yet, so I'll just be talking over my first impressions, and so on and so forth. So before we jump into a game, let's just take a quick look at the deck builder. I only have one deck because I just don't have enough cards to support more than one deck. I bought you get a choice of pre-constructed decks when you join the game, and I picked the Energy pre-constructed deck. There are 3 factions currently, although they're releasing a 4th. Which are Order, Energy, and Growth. So basically, Order relies on kind of comboing your guys together. If you build up a critical mass of guys, they work really well together and all become very powerful. Growth is sort of a rush deck. You get a whole bunch of early guys on the board, and they can attack frequently in the turn they come out, and you can buff them, and then just sort of overwhelm the opponent before they can get a defenses set up. And Energy is kind of the opposite. You just want to survive the early game until your powerful, explosive dudes come online in the late game. So let's take a quick look over my deck. It's very primitive because, like I said, I've only been playing 2 days and don't have many cards. I bought a couple packs from completing... You can complete sort of AI trials, which have kind of... which offer you some gold rewards, and they have sort of different effects. So I pulled a couple cool rares, which hopefully we'll get to see in the game, but other than that, this is pretty much just how the basic deck looks. If you know a lot about Scrolls, you can see that this isn't the best deck, but you know, it's fine. The deck builder's a little weird, because cards... It's hard to sort, and there's not a lot of space for the actual like deck building, and I can't find any graphs and info. And one of the obviously huge advantages of a computerized card game is that the computer can give you a lot of info. So like, what I want is graphs. I want, you know, just a very basic mana curve or energy curve or whatever. Would be nice, showing me how many of each things, showing me at a glance how many of each things of each cost I have. It does give you what percentage of creatures, spells, and structures and enchantments your deck contains. As you can see, my deck is mainly creatures and spells with a few structures and some enchantments. And my deck is focused around just surviving the early game with direct damage to like burn out enemy early creatures, and walls to sort of block them from killing me until I can get my tough, powerful dudes online who can sort of grind out the late game. So none of this means a ton unless we actually play a game, so let's jump right into a game. You can play the tutorial, which is very basic. It tells you basically just how to click the screen. They probably want a couple more like tutorial levels, although the trials do give you a little bit more of that. But the trials are just sort of like, this is the game, but they get a free ogre, and things like that, which are often quite difficult, and designed to, you know, teach you how to come back from behind and whatever. You can play against the AI. The hard AI is actually quite hard, at least for my deck, which doesn't have much stuff in it. The easy AI is unlosable for the human. and the medium AI seems to be a reasonable challenge. But of course, most of the game is in the multiplayer. There's quick matches, which are unranked, and ranked matches. I have tried to play a ranked match, but it seems like no one queues for those, so I didn't actually get to. But we're going to play a quick match. I actually have a fantastically high win rate so far. I feel like, having played a lot of Magic the Gathering and stuff like that, I'm pretty good at this game, so hopefully I can show you guys a win. This game has a lot of stuff that falls into the areas of tactical games that I am good at. You know, you need to plan ahead and stuff, so it's sort of like a game of Magic combined with a game of chess. So here's the board. We each have these 5 obelisks, which start with 10 health, and you just need to kill 3 of them in order to win the game. The cards in your hand, you can burn them to create mana, and we're going to do that now with this guy, because he's not super useful early game. He just explodes, and can basically sort of explode one enemy unit. My opponent also has no plays on the first turn. This is an enchantment, which isn't very terribly useful when we have no guys out, so we're going to burn that, and we're going to make a Tool Initiate. This guy is pretty basic. I just use him because he's a 2 attack damage, 3 health dude for 2 mana, which is a decent ratio. Basically, the goal is to sort of keep the enemy board clear much more than it is to get damage through, I find. Alright, he has a Gun Automaton, which is the same as this guy, but ranged, which means he doesn't take damage from units that attack back. Each unit has a countdown here, which is when the countdown hits 0, the unit will attack that turn. So my unit is not going to attack this turn because his countdown's still set to 1. So again, we're just going to burn a thing to make more mana so we can get up towards our higher cost spells, and just wait our turn. I was sort of hoping my opponent, like, because I put this guy in the middle, my opponent couldn't make a 2 health guy. Alright, so my opponent has built a giant wall in front of his guys. So what we're going to do is we are going to turn this card into energy, because I don't need it right now. That's just a wall. And then we're going to use this, which deals 3 damage to target unit. And if you kill it, you draw a card. So we're going to kill that and draw a card. I really like this spell. It lets you snipe key enemy units, and it replaces itself, so it's just very powerful. And my guy, as you can see, his countdown hit 0, so he ran up and he hit that thing for 2 damage. Units don't fight back unless they're spiky. And all having ranged units does is mean that they don't get hurt by spiky things. I have never seen this card before. He has made a Metal Wonder. It's a structure, it can't move. When your opponent plays a spell or enchantment, so not a guy, but a spell, Metal Wonder deals 2 damage to a random idol under their control. That doesn't actually seem that good, I don't think. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make this, just because, like, dealing damage to the idols is much more important to control the board than to do that. And we're going to play this guy. He's a 3/5, which is fairly tough. He's ranged, which is always nice, although not really against my opponent's deck, which is the same faction as mine. But most importantly, he buffs all the other grave locks in my deck, and I have a few of those, so they're pretty good. His Mortar is now going to fire this turn, and it hits a random square. So chances are good that it won't hit this guy, but I have seen it happen. You can, once per turn, you can sack a card in your hand for either more resources, which refill every turn, or for 2 more cards. So you never run out of cards in this game, which is something that it's an interesting mechanic that I actually want to talk about a bit more in a bit. So here's what I'm going to do. This card suicides for 1 enemy, basically. But again, he doesn't have much that I care about on the board, so I'm just going to play this, and I'm going to play a Cannon Automaton, which is tough and does a lot of damage, and can sort of block for this guy. It has 4 health and also 1 armor, so any damage it takes is reduced by 1. So unless the mortar happens to land on it, he's going to have a very hard time killing that thing. He plays a Scatter Gunner, which does a lot of damage, but is very weak. And an Automata Forge, which is one of the best cards in the game. I happen to have one of those. Every 3 turns, it just makes a little guy, which is so powerful. So what I could do is I could play this card, Fury, which would reduce this guy's countdown by 1, which would mean this guy would shoot that thing, killing it, and that guy would shoot that guy, killing it, which would be very nice. On the other hand, it would bring his Forge 1 closer to making a guy, and it would do 2 damage to one of my idols because of his Metal Wonder. And it doesn't use my mana super efficiently because I'm not like using this clock library. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the clock library into 2 more cards, because it's possible that I get something that I want to cast in addition to the Fury. Or I get a Bombard, which is also good. So here's what we're going to do, is we are going to use Fury. I take 2 damage on something, but whatever. And I'm going to play this... Oops, I did that in completely the wrong order. I should have played this first so that it reduced the countdown on that thing. But I'm playing this Goo Catapult in a place where it does some damage to his Automata Forge, and also because this guy just attacks squares on the table. And also makes it harder for him to defend, because if he puts a guy here in this square, it'll get hit by that. So it's just a little bit of area denial. He has a second one? Well, shit. That's pretty annoying. On the other hand, he put it in front, so I will be able to move this guy here next turn, and then turn after that I'll put him here, which will let me finish this Automata Forge off. So I will be doing that. So I'm moving this guy here, and I'm moving this guy here, so that he can kill the Scattergunner next turn. And then I'm going to turn this Inferno Blast into 2 more cards. I get a useless contraption, which is actually not useless most of the time, but right now is quite useless. And a Spark, which is okay, but not really what I want, so we're just going to pass the turn. Can't really do anything useful this turn. My opponent moves that guy to defend that. Oh, crap. Okay. That's a good play. He can take this out, so... And he gets a free guy over here, as you can see. So... I can spark that, so again, we're turning my useless contraption into 2 cards. We are going to cast Burn, killing this thing, getting us a card. I do take 2 damage on an idol again. And we're going to cast Spark, killing that thing, taking another 2 damage, and we'll move this guy over here so he can start putting some damage on the Forge. Also, my Catapult did 1 damage to that Forge, but I don't know. This game isn't going great for me, but, you know, we can win it. He has a bunch of rares. The Forges are rare. All of that shit is rare, so that's kind of annoying. Alright, so I drew another Gravelock, which is good, because that'll let me... because it's buffed by my Gravelock Elder there. So I'm going to play that here, building a good lane here. I'm going to turn this useless contraption into 2 more cards again, and I have my own Automata Forge, which I'm going to put here because this lane is already a little bit clogged, so he's going to have a hard time lining up things against it. And yeah, he's going to get a free guy next turn, but that's okay. Or this turn from this Forge, but that's okay. I think I'm in pretty good shape this game. This card doesn't seem to do anything. He has taken no damage on his idols, and I've taken some, but like, the only health that matters is the last point on the 3rd one, so... Alright, he gets to do 2 damage to that, which is fine. He makes a guy there. I draw a guy. And he made a Catapult, which does damage back in this area. Kind of annoying, but not devastating to me. So I have a bunch of options this turn. This guy's not going to do much for me, so let's make some cards with it. Alright, that was a pretty perfect draw, this Scattergunner, because what we're going to be able to do is play the Scattergunner, who, as you know, does 4 damage, and then play Bombard, reducing his cooldown by 2, which is going to let this guy kill that thing, and then this guy kill that thing. Take another 2 damage, mildly annoying, but again, not fatal. So I killed 2 of his guys this turn, which is pretty good. He's going to be able to shoot something with this thing for 2 damage, but I don't really care about that. So yeah, he's going to finish off my Gravelock Outcast, but again, that doesn't really bother me. This Clock Library is going to get him a bunch of cards, which is kind of annoying, but not that big a deal. And he spent some energy to reduce the cooldown on the free guys from Automata Forge. On the other hand, I just got a Cannon Automaton, which is exactly what I wanted, so I'm gonna upgrade this guy, upgrade my energy, because I have a bunch of cards, and I'm gonna want to be able to do more stuff next turn, and then I'm gonna put down this Cannon Automaton across from his Automaton Forge, and start picking away at that thing. This guy's gonna make a guy, this guy's not gonna do anything yet. Okay, he can one-shot my Cannon Automaton, which is quite annoying. I have one of those cards myself, but which is a rare. But this guy, as you can see, has more rares than I do. But I think I'm a little bit ahead in this game, because I think he has made a couple mistakes that I have not. So this guy's going to do 3 to that guy, and this guy's going to do 4 to that guy, which will almost kill it. This guy's going to do 1 to each of those, which is fine. I'm going to keep this because he can turn into stuff, but let's draw 2 more cards. Alright, so what we're going to do is we are going to play Concentrate Fire on this guy, which will make him attack twice. So this guy's going to kill that, and then this guy's going to shoot twice to kill that, meaning he doesn't get the cards from Clock Library. Then we're going to play another little Gravelock Raider, which gets +1/+1 because of my Elder, and a Gun Automaton here to, in 2 turns, take out his Metal Wonder thing. So those 2 each take a damage from my Catapult and have their countdowns increased by 1. And then this guy fires twice to kill the library, and that guy as well. I got a free guy from my forge. So as you can see, my board is much better than his right now, and we're going to be able to start putting damage on his idols soon, and I'm pretty confident about winning this game. I dealt pretty handily with him having so many Automata Forges. I really feel this card has not done anything for him. If you're playing a card like this, you want to put it in front so it at least blocks damage for your guys. Alright, let's get some more cards. Oh, I like this guy. I'm gonna put this down here. It does 1 damage to everything at the end of when it comes off cooldown. So that's pretty great. I'm gonna move these guys here in case I want to move them over into this column next turn. Move this guy up, and I'm gonna put one of these here. This guy's kind of cool. He only does 1 damage, but if you hit something with 3 or less health, he just kills it outright. Oh god. That hurt. I wish I had one of those. Target unit and all units connected by adjacent units, so everything on my board, just took 2 damage. So he almost killed everything I had, which was pretty brutal. So he clearly doesn't want this to go down, which I don't really understand. Like, I don't think there's a reason to defend that guy particularly. I don't think it's very good. We're going to turn this into cards. There we go. I drew my one-shot kill spell, but I don't need it right now. I'm going to move this guy back here, and this guy to here, and this guy to here. I'm going to put this down over here, because it'll do 1 damage to a random thing each turn, which is quite nice. And then I'm going to spend 3 energy to get a free guy this turn instead of next turn. So what's going to happen this turn is this guy's going to kill that guy, this guy's going to put 3 damage on that, these guys are each going to put 2 damage on that, and this guy's going to put 1 damage on that, which will make all his guys quite low. So all his stuff is going to be at 1. And I got a free guy. And I have 2 kill spells in my hand, which I can use to really put the hurt on him. This thing is going to randomly kill one of his guys next turn, which is quite nice. This thing will kill everything once it comes off cooldown. And of course I have a very large unit advantage. Oh, that's cool. This guy is a lobber. He's really threatening to put the hurt on all my guys, but luckily for me I have a kill spell in hand, so eat it. And I haven't put any damage on any of his stuff yet, but that doesn't matter at all. I'm gonna make some Gravelock Raiders, because again, they all get buffed. And we're gonna turn this into more cards. And that guy randomly killed one of his dudes, which was pretty sweet. My opponent could easily surrender this match. I don't think he has much of a chance of coming back from this. My board state is just too strong. I guess if he draws his Thunder Strike again, the one that does 2 damage to everything, then he'll basically clear my board. And I guess, yeah, actually, I guess that's his out. Is that card. Alright, so these 2 guys are going to kill that. These 2 guys, this guy has 1 armor, so these 2 guys, even though they do 4 damage, will only actually do 2 damage to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to cast Violent Dispersal on it just to kill it outright, like he's been doing to my cannons all fucking game. And this guy is kind of weak right now, and I get them for free anyways, so I'm actually going to make another energy, because having 8 energy is kind of nice, and I don't need more cards. And then we're going to clear his board again. Splat. Splat. 1 damage. And all my random damage things. Hey, I put damage on one of his idols. 2 of his idols. All my random damage things did nothing this turn, but that's okay. So, this game is pretty fun. There's a couple problems with it, which is, I find it very difficult to come back when you're behind. Or I think it's very difficult to come back when you're behind. That's gonna be pretty good. Oh, shit! Opponent's structures, of which I had quite a few on the table, each take 3 damage. So, basically he just killed all my structures. This I don't really need at the moment. I'm gonna turn it into more cards. This guy will be pretty good because it'll draw cards, but I think I just want to get my cannon out. Remove this guy here and this guy here because I can put damage on the lower totem. And then this guy will just hit that totem. Okay. Actually, no, this guy will move here and hit that thing, so that my cannon automaton will kill it. Alright, my opponent has a cannon automaton. He takes 1 damage. Okay, so he shot my my elder, killing it. Kind of mildly annoying. Not actually too bad though. I'm gonna go here, and I'm going to make a clock library here, because that'll eventually draw me cards, and put a scattergunner behind it. And then, so this turn that's going to take 2 damage, and then the plan is next turn I'm going to spark his thing, so that my cannon automaton can shoot and kill his cannon automaton. These guys only do 1 damage each now because my elder that was buffing them is dead. But that's okay. Opponent has 4 cards in hand and also sitting at 8 resources, but I do have a fairly large board advantage. If he draws Thunder Strike, he can hit that guy though and kill all 4 of those guys, which would be pretty bad for me. That seems like... Oh. I was gonna say that seems like a bad place to put it, but actually he got to, he had Bombard to reduce the cooldown on all of his guys. So he actually got to do a bunch of damage to me that turn. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this guy into more cards. I drew my Iron Ogre, which is pretty nice. This guy will kill that thing. This guy... Yeah, these two guys will kill that and finish off his totem. This guy I'm going to move here, and I'm going to put my Iron Ogre, who's just huge, and he tramples over enemies in his path. So this is going to kill his mortar. That's going to do 4 to the idol. And I'm still ahead, although that was a good turn for him, his last turn. I can always cast 2 sparks to kill this cannon automaton, and almost certainly will. Because I need to take it out. If you let these guys live, they just do so much damage, it's very hard to beat them. Alright, he has another sort of artillery guy, but that's kind of a weird place to put it. It doesn't actually hit anything. I guess he can move it. I'm used to the artillery guys being unmovable. Okay, so we are going to draw 2 cards. I drew my Automata Forge again. So cards cycle back around in this game, so even though I only have one of those, since it died, it went to the bottom of my deck. And now I drew it again. And I'm going to double spark that, just to finish it off. And then I'm going to move this up. And put my Automata Forge down back there. And I'm going to put a Dust Runner here. Just because I have the 1 mana, so I might as well. This guy can't hit anything this turn, so I'm not too worried. This guy gets to attack next turn, and he does 4 damage, which is nice. So if I need to, I can move this guy up, move that guy there, and kill his Hellspitter Mortar. I'll probably do that. This guy, when he comes back off cooldown, is pretty good. Oh, he Iron Whipped my Gun Automaton. Shot that Gun Automaton. So yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to turn this guy into cards. I'm going to move this guy back 1. Move this guy to here. Oh, I should have moved him there to make that guy move. Well, whatever. I'm going to cast Inferno Blast on that. So this guy is going to kill his Gun Automaton and then die to that guy's Gun Automaton. And then I'm going to place the Hellspitter Mortar here just to block for my Iron Ogre. So that my Iron Ogre just can't take damage and it's hard for him to win. Gun Automaton and the Scatter Mortar kill that. This Gun Automaton kills his Gun Automaton, and then his Storm Runner's gonna use lob and kill that guy. Okay, so he drew a Violent Dispersal again. Like I said, he's got more rares than me. They keep coming up because he has 2 of those, so they're gonna come up frequently. The Lobber's gonna kill that thing. And my Clock Library died there, so I got to draw 3 cards. Turn this into cards. It's probably the least useful right now, and I drew my Gravelock Elder again, which is sweet. So I'm going to slap that down, and then put a... Move this guy here, because this guy's going to shoot this turn. Put something in front of this guy so it doesn't die, like a Guapult. There we go. And I guess my guy did 1 damage to that totem, because why not? Alright, he played a Hellspitter Mortar to block for this thing, and a Storm Lobber, because that will do damage to several important dudes. Alright, well, I don't really need this, so let's start by turning it into cards. I drew this, which is quite nice. So I'm going to use Burn to kill that thing. And then I'm going to cast Ember Bonds on this guy, so he'll die before he attacks. And then I guess I'll move these guys up so that this has room to make an automaton. So the Health Spitter Mortar randomly attacks an enemy square, doesn't do anything, shoots that, and I make an automaton. I have 5 cards in hand, he only has 3, and again my board is just so strong. This guy's gonna die when he attacks unless he can buff it. Gonna die this turn unless he can buff it. He has his Metal Wonder again, and a second one. Wow. That doesn't do anything. Well, let's get some more cards. I was hoping for something that could make my guys attack this turn, because then I could just win. But I didn't hit it. Alright, so let's start moving these guys over towards here. Make another Scatter Gunner. And make a bunch of Grave Locks. Because I have the Elder in play, and they could sort of chew through those eventually. Actually, I'm going to move these backwards and put the... No, I won't put the Useless Contraption there. It would just block my guy. Alright, he burns, kills one of my Scatter Warriors, and does 3 damage to all my structures. His Mortar fails to hit anything, which was like a pretty even chance that it would, so I'm pretty glad it missed. Alright, let's draw some more cards. Alright, so this spell will reduce the cooldown of all guys by 1, so I can just win this turn, because if I reduce the cooldown, these guys will both attack, they'll do 7 to that, and kill his 3rd idol, winning the game. Yeah, and to add insult to injury, my Health Spitter Mortar actually landed on something. Alright, so for winning, you get gold, and you really get almost all of your gold from winning. Like, do not expect to gain more cards if you don't win, which is not a system I like, really. I think you should get a little more for winning, but the fact that it's like 90% or something, it was like, I don't know, some 80% of my earnings are for the victory. So my opponent played that game for 20 minutes and got like 60 gold, so he basically got nothing. I don't like that. I think they should change the incentives there. But I got 300 gold, which puts me to 1,000, so now we can go check out the store. So basically there's 5 things you can buy in the store for gold. These are a random scroll, so just 1 random card. A scroll pack, which is 10 random scrolls, but guaranteed to include 2 uncommons and a rare. And a random scroll from a specific faction, but almost always a common. There's also these things that you can buy for real money, because these currencies are the money currencies, and pre-constructed decks that you get 1 for free, and then you have to buy the other 2 for real money if you want them, and then avatars, which are purely aesthetic and cost real money. So we're going to buy a scroll pack, because that'll give me 10 scrolls. I'm pretty much only caring about energy scrolls, because you need 50 scrolls in a deck. And if you don't have 50, and I don't have 50 of the other 2 factions, so I can't even build a deck of those factions, really. I could build a mixed deck of 2 factions, but those seem a lot like you need to know more than I do in order to, a lot more complex. You need to know more than I do about this game in order to build them effectively. So, I got a Thought Trap, which is a nice spell for Order, but I'm not Order. A Resonant Helm, which I've never seen. Enchanted unit's health is healed by 1 every time you play a spell or enchantment. That's pretty good, because Order tends to like buff its guys with spells and enchantments. Target unit gets +3 attack until end of turn. I'm only getting order cards. Okay, here's a growth card. Enchanted unit is healed by 1 health each round. Yeah, that seems okay, but like, opponents are usually going to construct it so they kill your guys rather than just damaging them. This is nice. Enchanted unit gets +1 health and +1 attack for each stag heart you control, so if you draw all 3 of these that you can have in your deck, they each give +3/+3, and they become pretty insane. I got another useless contraption, of which I have like 6, so that is actually useless to me, because you can only have 3 in a deck. A Brother of the Wolf, who can, instead of attacking, make a crappy wolf, which is actually pretty nice. This is my last uncommon, which is a bounce spell. Target opponent's unit is returned to its owner's hand. It's okay, but for 4 mana, there's a lot of kill spells, so I don't know. And my rare is a Night Scholar. Draw 1 scroll if countdown is 0. Countdown is reset to Night Scholar's base value. So, does he not attack? I don't get it. Kinda cool, but I don't get it. So I didn't get anything that's useful for my deck there. I was hoping to get something that was useful for my deck and show you guys like the actual deck building mechanic and my thoughts on building my energy deck. But you sort of got to see how it worked in practice. I basically just tried to keep his board clear with direct damage spells and then grind him out with my powerful late game spells like Cannon Automata and Iron Ogres and things like that. And then there's this minor Gravelock sub-theme where my Gravelock Elder buffs all my other Gravelocks. So yeah, that's Scrolls. It's interesting. It's still very early beta, which is... And like, a lot of that shows. There's not very many total cards. I've only bought like 6 packs, and already I have like 8 copies of some of the commons. And since you can only have 3 of each common in your deck, that gets kind of annoying pretty quickly. Like, these goo catapults, which I don't even really want, although I have 3 in my deck, but like basically the goo catapult is the same in my deck as the useless contraption. It's just a 4 health wall. And I have 5 of those, and I crafted 3 of them into a level 2 goo catapult, which is identical but has some aesthetic differences. So I already had 6 of those. And you can only have 3 in a deck, and I don't even really want them. I have a really hard time hitting the rares that I want, because like having a second copy of Violent Dispersal, like that guy had, having a second copy of Gravelock Elder would be fantastic because it would really reinforce my Gravelock theme. Having a third copy of Scattergunner, which is an uncommon, things like that. Just like some of the better spells in my deck I really want more copies of, and it's really hard getting them because you pull so many commons and you get all these useless spells. Aside from that, my main problem with the game is I feel it's hard to come back when you're behind. If the opponent gets a critical mass of dudes out, you just can't ever come back. Like, even though that guy had a bunch of AoE damage effects, like his Thunder Strikes hit my guys for a ton of damage repeatedly, he just wasn't able to win that. He also was playing 2 Stone Wonders, which is a rare that I don't have any of, but I think that card's just bad, because all it does is do damage to the idols, and doing damage to units is so much more important, as will be familiar to you if you have any grounding in other card games. I wonder if the game biases towards pulling cards from factions that you don't have, because I started the game with 50 energy cards and none of the other 2. And now I have 43 and 40, so like I've only gained from packs, and several times I've bought energy-specific cards before I realized that you only get commons from doing that, like the energy-specific scrolls. Before I realized you only get commons from doing that, and getting commons doesn't actually help. And yeah, it must bias towards the faction that you have fewer cards in. which is kind of annoying, because what I want to do is improve my energy deck and not get a bunch of cards I can't use. Like, I still don't have 50 growth cards, even though I've pulled 43 growth cards. So I can't even make a growth deck. And same with order. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this look at Scrolls. That's my gameplay and first impressions. And if you guys like it, I'll bring you more Scrolls content. I do intend to keep playing. The game is fun. Like, all of the issues that I mentioned aside, the game is actually quite fun. It's very strategic. I'm looking forward to when there's a few more cards and maybe they iron out some of the interface and like story issues. And yeah, and a couple of the overpowered cards. Like the Automata Forge should not cost 3 because it's 5 health and it just like makes guys every few turns. It's so powerful. Yeah, I think that card needs a nerf. But yeah, anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed this look at Scrolls, and I will be bringing you more videos later. Cheers, folks, and GG.